do. There's a man over there into the music scene, showing lots of love for the community. With great advice, I know who I should go see. So
all right, everybody, welcome to Lunchtime Fun and Games right here, All Around Town Radio. It is Wednesday with the band, and I'm going to be joined by somebody I first met at the Bell and the Bear Jam and got to know there, but a guy that's been out there. He's been doing it for many years. And help me welcome to the show, if you will, everybody, today. Drummer David Parks is going to join us. How you doing? What's going on, David?
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, it's good to have you with me here on the program. Let me see if I can widen that shot out for us a little bit, make it look a little better here. Here we go. All right. Yeah, you're good. You're good, man. So let's get this thing started. For those that don't know you, let's just get a little background into David Parks. Obviously, you drum. You do a lot of drumming. You played with a lot of people. We'll talk about that a little later. But how did you get started drumming? Where was the start? Were you playing tin cans at home, or what was happening?
Pretty much. My mom was a bass player, piano player, and after school, it was very common for me to wake up at a band rehearsal from taking a nap or backstage at a show. And I always tell everybody it chose me. I didn't choose it. Mom being a string player, she wanted me to play guitar. So she bought me like this little fish string ukulele, little nylon strings, and took me to a music store to get lessons. I walked in the back, and the gentleman who gave the drum lesson or gave lessons also taught guitar, bass, drums, piano. He taught everything. So there was a drum kit in there. And of course, what is a 9-year-old kid going to do? Go straight to the drum kit. I jumped on that thing and I never got off. He went back and gave my mom that guitar back and said, "Here's your guitar back. Your son's a drummer. Drumsticks are on this aisle. Practice pads are over there. He'll need this book." And I don't remember not playing drums. I mean, your formative years, 1 through 8, you don't really remember a whole lot anyway. And I don't remember not having that, waking up every morning and having that passion for it. So that's where it started for me. And by the time I was 13 or 14, I was playing local bars. Because back then it was easier to just walk in, and I would always walk in the back door, and I sat, over in the stage, and I never went out and mingled. On breaks, I would go out to the car, but I did that for years.
And, I've heard that from a lot of people, David. There's been so many people that tell me that they at an early age, especially like the Cincinnati scene, they all would be in the background in the bars, go out and play a few songs and get out there and kind of get their feet wet with it. It's kind of amazing. Doesn't really happen anymore. The youngsters aren't getting up there on stage as much as you used to see.
Lots of circumstances around that. It's come down harsher. My dad used to take me to a bar. What's up, Kathy? When we used to do gigs and stuff, in the late 80s, early 90s, it was not a big deal for a kid to be in the bar. And then that's where the gigs are. So with younger generation musicians today, you got Battle of the Bands or things that groom them. Now you got, different schools and different things that are grooming kids, but they don't get to get out there and get that experience of that, the experience of it all. I learned so much in those formative years of just dealing with the bar owner, dealing with a bass player that was disgruntled, now when I see that today, I'm just like, I've been seeing this for years. I know how to handle it now. So
it's part of life, right?
An education in being a musician. Yeah. It's a lot more than just playing.
Yeah. And how long, can we let the cat out of the bag? Tell everybody how long you've been out there doing this professionally.
Oh, next year will be 30 years. I've been playing since I was 1. That gives my age away.
Wink, wink. Yeah. So you've been playing a long time. You've toured with a lot of people. You've been on the road a lot, I know. And, when I first met you, everybody was saying it's David Parks. He's a Nashville drummer. He's doing things in Nashville and all that. What do you consider home?
Nashville and Cincinnati.
Okay.
I do live in the Cincinnati area, and that's where my kids are. That's the main reason I'm there, is because my children are there, and I take them to school and pick them up, and my son stays at my apartment and everything, but my work is out of Nashville, and I think it's really nice because when I leave Nashville, I get to leave that behind. I still do music related work in Cincinnati, but I get to leave work. And when the bus, for any Nashville players, when the bus gets back into Nashville, you're still at work. There's still
right.
things, and I get called to go all the time, but it's nice to put it down, which I've learned to do. Sometimes it's been hard to say no to gigs, but a good buddy of mine, Troy, he goes, sometimes you got to learn to say no. You don't have to do every gig that comes your way. And to be at a level or a point in my career to where I get to say no is a very rare blessing. And I'll never take it for granted. But if anybody that calls me and I've told you no, I hate saying no to you, but it's just because I couldn't.
Right. And I mean, I've seen the pictures, at least that you posted, that pretty little young lady who was on tour with you there a few times. And, I can see you've got to take time with her, and, you've got to spend the time there. And that's not always conducive when you're on the road. I know it's tough when you're out there.
Fortunately, and by the way, you used her photo, and I told her that last night, and it made her glow. So anything out of this, I love the fact that it made her proud of herself for a photo that she took while we were on tour together. I would have them out with me, all my kids with me at all times if I could. We just played with Alabama last night, and their fiddle player had their daughter out with her, and it's family oriented, and I'm very fortunate to work for the Bellamy brothers. David and Howard are not only just the best bosses ever. There is no bull hockey, there's no drama, there's no ego. If I want to bring out my daughter on the road, they're like, yeah, cool. You don't feel like you're in the way. They are just, I'm very, very fortunate and blessed. God's put me in a very good spot, and I'm very appreciative for it.
And today you're coming to me from a hotel room. You're on the road today with the Bellamy brothers, right?
We're in
I
Canada.
love it. That is great.
I think we're in Ottawa. We
ask every musician where they are, and they're like, I don't know. We're on the road.
We're in Ottawa, Canada today. Today's the day off. We're with Alabama again tomorrow night here.
Great.
And in their tour, they do it right. They've learned how to day on, day off, day on, day off, because after so many, it wears you down.
Right.
Of course,
I got you. So you've got a lot going on, and one thing I'm going to talk about, especially here as we get into the show, I want to talk about this. You're going to be coming back to Cincinnati area for a drum clinic next week, and I want to mention that. I've got all kinds of stuff to put up on the screen about it, but I also want to talk about your side projects. I mean, you're touring with the Bellamy brothers. Occasionally, I get to see you, not as much as I used to, but get to see you drop into the Bell and the Bear for the jam night.
Miss
it's so cool, man.
That to me, the Bell and the Bear is cheers. It's home when you walk in. I've almost went there on a weeknight just to have a drink, just to be in there for a second, maybe see one face. It's family in there. I love it there. That place has been a blessing in my life too. Every person there, especially Karis, Kathy, everybody in the band, and the musicians I've met, that I can't say enough good things. I feel like that's a home, and I feel like some of us have a key there. We don't have a physical key, but we have an emotional attachment key to that whole venue and the people there. And that's how I met you. I mean,
it's magical. It's a magical place, man. It really is a magical place. And we've said it so many times on this show. And, I partner with Karis on Tuesday with the show. She is just an absolutely beautiful person. I love her.
She's a star. in any room she goes in, she could be a star at a funeral.
You're right. Kathy says we miss you, damn it.
I miss you,
there we
Kathy.
go. Hey guys, if you've got a question for David, throw in the comments too. I'm sure we'll be able to answer them for you today. If there's something as we talk here you want to know about him or his background. David, what's your favorite kind of musical style to play?
Oh gosh.
I know I got an even better question at the end.
I'd rather answer a question about calculus. I have struggled with that that very subject for years because I'm not a one lane man. I like blues. I like rock. But I like the real stuff. I like country. But I like the real stuff. I don't like anything contrived. Like in country, I'm a big Don Williams, Alabama Exile, Restless Heart, melodic. And in rock, God, that goes from, I'm a big Paul Rogers fan, Sammy Hagar, Rival Sons. They're the ones carrying the torch today for that genre. But when it comes to actually just playing anything musical that I can be a supportive role, I'm not the drummer that wants to solo and look at me, look at me, look at me. I like being a part, a little bitty dot on this big, beautiful thing. Like, I don't have to take up the whole canvas. I just want my little red right there, and I want to be a supportive role in
well, it's funny you're saying that. Because when I first was and you walked in one night to the jam and I had never met you and everybody was like, oh, that's David Parks, man. Yeah, he's a great drummer. He plays here, he plays there, plays with this group. And at that time, I think you were doing some stuff with Resist the Bite. All that stuff was going on. And I know those guys as well. And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's the real deal, and you got up on stage and that's the first thing that impressed me. It wasn't the David Parks show. This was still the jam with David Parks filling in on the kit, just like Daniel Laverde does, and those people. Oh, it's people who come in and play because of the joy of music, not because they're a star or they're going to show off, and that was the cool part about you.
As a lot of drummers, and I teach a lot, I find a lot of drummers, I tell all my students this: stop playing drums and start playing the song. Once you find that, and it usually takes a long time because, your adolescence or you're wanting to just, get it on, like I want to me, watch this feel. You listen back and you go, well, that wasn't so appropriate. And it kind of takes away. I always say, if I get noticed, I'm not doing my job. I'm supposed to support. And I think I learned a lot of that with the Beat Daddies that I played with. It was blues music. Every musician there is an assassin at their instrument. I could not do anything above that. I just need to support and hold. And I guess back to your question about the music, I love the blues shuffle, something that you don't even have to know the song and it makes your lip curl, and real quick on Danny Laverde.
Oh man. Yeah.
So how I found out about the Bell and the Bear was purely accidental. I was teaching somewhere and I was on my way home, and my buddy Tim Guilfoyle had posted that he was going to be at the Bell and the Bear. And I thought, well, what's this? And he said, it's a jam. Come on out. And I was like, well, I'll go check it out. I ain't got nothing to do. I'll have a beer and go home. I walked in. I heard Danny playing. And I was like, who is this punk? He is absolutely terrific. I hate him. And that's my phrase about him, because not only did he have the drumming skills to turn on a drummer and go, God, that guy's great, he was also fitting in the song dynamically. And I was blown away. And I saw he was a young kid, and I was like, I hate this guy. He's so great.
and David, the people that come to that jam, there are some young guys that come in and play, and gals that play there that are the future of music in the Cincinnati region. I mean, you can tell. And Danny's one. I mean, Danny's out there touring the world, but there's people, Mason Johnson on guitar, people like that are young kids that just blow me away with their talent in their early 20s. I mean, they're like they've been playing 100 years.
Yeah, there's a couple singers that come in here that make me go. Chelsea, when she sings and she does her thing and she's in her zone, like I forget about drumming. I'm just like, oh gosh, he's so good, so
It's
good.
the show. It is.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I want to take that and put it over here and produce it, and send her out on tour with this group and that bass player and that guitar player and that singer. It's insane the amount of talent in that room and the people.
It is. And tell me, you have a style about you when you get up there, and like you said, you get into the song. You're playing. You're not overplaying. You're doing your thing. But who are some people that influenced you to be this kind of drummer? That this kind of style that you have?
I have learned more. Well, number one, my drumming influence all time, and I become really good friends with him before he passed away, and he's really, really dear to me. Somebody asked me one time, we all have our Mount Rushmore of drummers. We all have our Neil Pearts. Everybody loves Stuart Copeland. Everybody loves whoever, right? John Bonham. I can hear that all day. But who really turned you on? Who really made you the drummer that you are, the musician that you are? And my honest answer was quick. It was Pat Torpey from Mr. Big, the late, great, God rest his soul. I don't want to cry right now. He was a great, when they say you don't want to meet your heroes, that guy right there is just the absolute best. Troy Luccketta from Tesla, one of my blood brother. I love that man. He has not only guided me in music, but spiritually as a person on how to be. He's very important to me in my life. And so not only musically, but being people, it's taught me a lot on many platforms. It's not just about this, it's about everything. But the people who groomed me is a guy named Paul Daggy. He's passed away as well. He was the bass player for the Vandells for years. And that was my first professional touring job back in the early 90s. And he was a bass player, and he taught me more about drumming than any other drummer could ever do. He taught me where to be, how to, he taught me what a pocket was. He taught me, hey man, relax, calm down, relax, and playing the pocket. And I don't think a drummer could have taught me that. My biggest influences, other than Pat Torpey, and some another handful of drummers, would be other musicians, singers, guitar players. If you're a drummer and you want to learn how to play drums, ask a bass player.
Yeah, there you go. And you were talking about the Vandells. I had no idea you were with them. Honestly, I didn't know that. And was Jeff Carmack in that band when you were in it?
No, he was in there before I was. I seen him at the reunion shows, and I think they're planning another reunion show for next year. It'll be the 50th anniversary, and when I joined them, they were on their 20th anniversary tour.
Wow!
I was 18. I was greener than a Cheech and Chong movie. I was green, and I look back then, and I'm like, oh my God, how do they put up with me?
Right.
I'm playing doo-wop stuff, and I'm playing it like I was a wannabe Neil Peart.
I love it. That video of the guy, the drummer that doesn't fit. Yeah.
If I find a DeLorean to go back in time, I'm kicking my own ass from back then, because I was like overplaying and
That's
18
great.
and just dumb.
Well, and I just ran into Jeff the other night. His daughter plays now, and she's in a band called Lindsay Ellen and the Trackhounds, and we got to see them.
Kidding.
And yeah, Jeff was there sitting in the audience. I was like, wow, because I knew him before he was in the Vandells, so it tells you how old I am. But that's cool stuff.
Reunions. So yeah,
that is really cool stuff. So I got a couple more questions before we talk about some events you have going on. You have you have some side projects happening, and there was one I took a look at, and those Dirty Rotten Scallywags. What can you tell me about that a little bit?
Okay, so that as anything really good, this was like one of those happy accidents. This is one of those. I was touring for an artist named Jason Michael Carroll, and going back and forth between him and an artist named Casey James, who's another blood brother in my life. I love him, and I think we're going to do some more stuff with him soon. But the keyboard player from that band, and we would all go back to his house on days off of touring and he had a studio, and we were recording jingles and other artists' music on days off a tour. We'd come off tour at midnight from bus call, and we would go straight in the studio at 8 a.m. the next morning. And, you know, we're in there being boys, you know, having some cocktails, doing whatever. And this was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we just started writing just because we were in between artists. And every day we would write, and then we'd go track, and then we would write and we go track, then we would track for another artist. Well, we were building all these tracks and writing all these songs, and we were going to call ourselves the Scallywags, but then we found out there was a band called the Scallywags. And I was like, well, we'll one up them. We'll call ourselves the Dirty Rotten Scallywags. We'll up it. And it sounds even cooler, right? Happy Accidents. So we started writing, got a couple, about 4 songs together. And they've been sitting there for a while, got the horn section on it. And it's just a plethora of musicians, all touring professional musicians that are friends. And it was no different than getting together for a barbecue. We just didn't really plan out anything. I don't think we'll ever do a live show because everybody's all over the country and doing their own thing. It would be impossible to get us all in a room. None of us were in the room together when it was recorded. It was all recorded at different times. So it's a fun project. I got to get some emotion out on the writing, especially on Not a Thing and King of Disappointment. That's about a divorce. That's about an ex's opinion of your opinion of your ex's opinion of you. You know,
Gotcha.
I guess I'm the king of disappointment, man, you know? And so we just wrote, and we've had it in the can for a number of years. And recently I was like, yo, man, you know, one of us is going to die at some point. We might as well release this. And so we just put the EP out and just got it out there.
Where can they find it if they want to go get it? Anybody watching today, where can they find it?
Anywhere. You can get it on any streaming platform, iTunes, Apple Music,
My
Spotify,
resident out of the studio producer, Jim McCarthy, who always finds these links and posts them. There it is, folks. If you want to go to that
sweet.
after
Thanks,
the show.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for that. Jim's always good at that.
Link.
Yeah. Well, there it is. So I've got one question, and I want to talk about this drum that you've got, the Master Drum Clinic. I want to talk about that. But before that, I always ask those I interview one question at the end of every interview, but I want to throw it in now.
Okay.
If you could take the stage with anyone, past or present, and play a show, who would it be?
Well, I've got to do some really cool things. I've kind of already marked those off my list. I got to play with Sammy Hagar one night. I would like to do that again because I was so young and green. I would know how to handle it a little bit better now, I think. I got to play, speaking of Pat Torpey, I got to double drum Just Take My Heart at the Nashville Drummers Jam, and he died like a month and a half later. So I talked to Billy and a few other people, and they said that was his last performance. And it's on video. We got to get it released, but it's his last public performance. And we double drummed together, and that was really special to me. But gosh, I mean, I've gotten to do so many things that would, it would have to be like, okay, I'll say this, Steve Lukather.
Okay.
Steve, if I could just do something with Steve, like studio wise, I would love to write a song with him, perform it just once, you know, but that would be being greedy. But you know what? I'll take it.
Gotcha.
if it's presented.
How long you on this run with the Bellamy Brothers right now?
Forever.
Ever?
Yeah. After the world stopped spinning, about 2 years after that. Every run we go out, and we can go out for 10 days. We could go out for 2 days. We could go out for, usually the norm is you're out for 3, home for 4. That's kind of, and it can waver. But since we're on this Canadian tour with Alabama, we have our dates in the States. So we played in Texas, Oklahoma, we had a day off, came all the way up to Canada, played last night. Today's off. We play with them again tomorrow. And then we go to West Virginia and Florida. So it's a nonstop, it's a working organization. You work every week pretty much. And you could like when we go to Europe or another country, you're over there for 3 weeks to a month because, hey, you're there. You're not going to fly back and forth for a one-off, right? So it's usually sometimes you're out 2 weeks, sometimes you're out 2 days. But that's the normal working Bellamy tour schedule. It's not like we go out for 2 years and take 2 years off like it used to be. Now they find it functionable to have a family, to have a life outside of just doing this.
Right. And you, like you said, I mean, you said in the beginning of the show, they're great guys to work with. So it's got to be good to be able to have that kind of environment when you're out too. It's not a burden to you like a lot of tours are for people, you know?
It's more important to me that when I get on the bus, I'm not trying to avoid the artists that I'm working for. And I've done that so many times in the past. I won't name names, but there have been artists that I've gotten on a bus with that my goal was to get on the bus and not see them because of their ego or because of something was always going to be crazy or not presented well. With David and Howard, I've said this about this gig. I don't know where I'm going to go after this. It'll definitely be down. And it's not just the money, it's how they treat us. And they're no different than the rest of us. They don't act different. They sit up late and tell these great stories of all these touring stories from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and they're hilarious. The only raised voices on this bus is us laughing, and that's a lot.
That's outstanding. And you know, I'm going to lump it in and say most people that I talk to don't have that kind of tour experience. The tour becomes a burden.
When I got a phone call for this, I was so jaded about working for artists that I was like, That's why I formed Resist and Bite, because I wanted to have something that we could control and not have anybody doing this at us. You know, I wanted to do our own thing with no drama. As it turns out, that went a different direction. But,
just a little bit.
Yeah. If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plan.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's change gears and talk about this clinic you've got going on. You're coming back to Cincinnati. You're going to be doing a clinic, masterclass drum clinic, as it's known, at the Music Salon. Tell me what that's going to entail on Tuesday.
Okay, well, Sean McGarry and I run into each other on Facebook and everything, and we started talking, and he was telling me he was opening up the Music Salon, and he knew that I taught, so we had coffee one day and started talking, and I'm going to start teaching there. I'm already got a couple students there already, but this is more or less another way of an open house kind of a thing. Get people there to experience the school and come in and see it, sign up for lessons. He's got a really good place there, and I'm going to be giving a drum clinic and it's not just for drummers. Okay, it's a drum clinic, and that's why I said a master class, because I'm going to be covering a lot of different subjects based on music. Anybody that's taken a lesson with me knows it's not just about drumming. It's about the placement of drumming. It's like a flathead screwdriver. Somebody's going to say, you cannot use this on a nail, and you cannot use this on a Phillips. It has to, I'm giving you this tool. Now here's how you use it. Here's the placement of that. So I'm going to be covering that. And this drum clinic masterclass is going to be more geared toward just music in general. So even if you're not a musician and you just want to have an entertaining night, hear me talk and play drums, it'll be a good night. There's a lot of subjects that I'm going to cover. The history of drums. I'm not going to give it away here, but a lot of people don't know that there is one invention that changed the course of music as the way we know it is. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
It's the bass drum pedal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because before then, drummers were playing. You had a guy playing bass drum, a guy playing snare drum, and a guy playing cymbals. It took 3 guys to make that. And once the bass drum pedal was invented, then the hi-hat pedal, then now we consolidated and 2 guys lost their jobs. So,
well, the kick pedal has also been the most nightmare for me is at doing shows when you're working the stage and the kick pedal breaks. Those are always fun. You see that happen so often.
I have 2 on stage with me at all times, and I have played a 26-inch kick drum, and I got one right here and one right there. This one's not connected, but if something happens to this one, I just move my foot and we're good.
There you go.
And then I got one in the box backstage too.
So this music salon thing that Sean's doing, it's relatively new. It is going to be a place for people to take all kinds of lessons, I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, guitar, piano, bass, everything.
All right.
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend if you got a kid that wants to take lessons, or if you want to take lessons, every different instrument there and just being around it. And it's a great building, good people, and good safe environment for everything there. And it's positive. Putting music in a kid's life or in an adult's life, it makes you proud of yourself. Even if you don't want to become a professional musician, just learn it, experience in life and music.
Right. And it sounds like a great deal. So, guys, if you want to get signed up for this, the Music Salon Clinic, Masterclass Drum Clinic with David Parks on Tuesday the 29th, you can get a ticket on Eventbrite right now. Tickets are free. 6919 Miami Avenue in Madeira is where it's located. And it's going to be a good time Tuesday night. It happens from 7 till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, something like that.
9 o'clock. I think doors are at 6 or something. And then I'll start around 7. It'll go around about an hour, and then of course there's going to be downtime of question and answers, story time. You can never tell with me. I'll end up telling stories all night, and that'll be entertaining in itself. But yeah, the Music Salon is really great, man. I want to see as many people get up there as they can. Oh, and seating is limited, so if you want a ticket, go get it now. Go register, because it will be. You'll get up there and there won't be any seats.
Got you covered. Well, David Parks, you talk about telling stories. I always enjoy sitting with you at the Bell sometimes when we have a chance, and you telling me about things that are going on. I loved the stories back when you were in the other band and some of those things. That's always good to hear about it and to hear how those stories go from the road and all those things that happen. And it takes all kinds to be musicians, folks. It does. And you seem to be in a very good place right now. I'm so happy to hear that.
Very, very, very blessed. I wake up and look at the Lord every morning and say thank you. Very humbled, very blessed to be with the people and be around them. God decided I needed to be around good people, and that's where he put me.
Well, sounds like you're doing great. Tell us where they can find you in the Bellamy Brothers tour. Can they find you on social media on that tour links?
Yeah, I'm just find my Facebook. I don't have a like page or anything. There is a.
How about that, David Parks?
Boom! There you go.
Yeah,
look,
right.
there is a Instagram or something or other. There's other things with me on it, but it's not me. Somebody else is doing it. I don't know who it is.
Gotcha.
I've been told I tagged you on Instagram, and also I'm only on Facebook. And if you want to find the Bellamy Brothers, they're on Facebook or BellamyBrothers.com. And you can find all their tour dates there and where we're going to be and all that.
Perfect. Well, anything else you want to add before we go today? I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. I love this show. I listen to it. Like I joked about in the first of it. I said, first time caller, long time listener. That's not a lie. I listen to you all the time, you and Karis and you and your shows. And I think what you do at Hollowtown Radio is very, it just expands. Like what I told you earlier, it's so good for the community of music in general, but Cincinnati, I mean, what you're doing is just, it's only going to get bigger too. This is fabulous.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it. And you know, coming from a guy like you who's been there, done that, I appreciate that even more because, you know, there's a lot of people that are green, as you said you were back in the day, and they could learn from you because the things you say are spot on. And I always love talking to you and love hanging with you. I hope to see you again soon at the Bell and we can hang out.
Yeah, I got to find a Thursday off. I usually leave on Thursdays is the problem. I usually leave right when it's starting. So, but I need to get back down there. Even if I'm not playing, I don't even care about the playing part. I just want to see my people down there.
Right. There you go. Well, thank you, my friend. And folks, if you're watching today and you're watching after we're live, you can drop comments in there. David will watch. He'll see it pop up. I'll see it pop up. We'll try to answer those for you if we can. And get out again and see David's master clinic that's going on this Tuesday there. That's going to be a good time. That's happening again at the Music Salon. It's located in Madeira. So you can check that out. Look them all up on the Book of Face and such. David, thank you so much, my friend.
The Book of Face. I love it.
The Book of Face. I try not to say it the other way. The computers catch it.
Oh, yeah. The book
you got to talk face. Computer here. And yeah, love to have you back on again sometime from the road.
Anytime you want, man. Anytime you want.
Maybe we can catch up with you backstage at a Bellamy show or something and bring you on and get a little behind the scenes.
Let me know when you're coming. I'll get you a pass.
Sounds good, my friend. Thank you so much, guys. And tune in tomorrow for Who's Playing Out, brought to you by Froggies in Monroe, Ohio, bringing you the best musicians and venues in the tri-state. And who's playing for the week? You want to tune into that and plan your week of local music. David Parks has been my guest today. And David, we're out of here, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.